Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Bill Rigby, on the Agents of the Unexplained podcast. Find us. Hey, everybody. How you doing? We're going to have Norm back here in the studio here in a minute. I just want to say he is happy to be back. He had some new interesting things to tell us all. You know, it's going to be a nice evening for sure. I hope you all get to sit back and enjoy. If you got questions for him, he's more than willing to take questions all night long. So here we go. Let's bring Big Bad Norm in. There he
Hey,
is.
hey, welcome everybody. It's nice to be back. Part two of
Yeah,
two,
two of two.
two of two at least. Let's stick with two of two.
Yeah, or three of one. I don't know.
So
Uh,
I'm
hey,
sorry. Go ahead.
before we get going, me and Norm was trying to connect all day today, and it didn't happen. Um, I kind of end up taking a new job on, but I'm back. I got home late. Me and Norm got together. There he is live there too. There he is.
Hey,
Yeah.
here I am.
Yeah.
So I've got
Oh,
about four screens. I don't know. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook.
yep.
I'm on live on my Facebook. So if anybody wants, I don't know what you guys can hear and you can't hear because there's so much happening here. But on my live, if you go to Agents of the Unexplained YouTube page or Agents of the Unexplained Facebook page, you'll be able to see and hear everything a little bit different angle. So whatever works for you. So if you can hear me fine and see me fine, good for you. I'm handsome, so whatever, however you want to, however you see me, it's my gift to you.
Hi, Angel. You coming into the studio? I sent you the link. Or you just gonna hang out outside?
She's in the green room,
She's in the gray,
the gray room.
the gray room.
Oh,
I don't
that's
have green rooms.
uh,
They're gray because they're
uh,
not white. They're not black. They're
okay.
gray,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
like my
So,
hat.
so does anybody have any questions about last week before we get started?
So far, no, I don't
No,
see any.
there was somebody last week that had a question from you that I didn't see until later. It was a question about paranormal, unexplained kind of stuff because that's what we're doing, right? So it said does Norm believe in Bigfoot? I believe there's something out there. So what is it? Nobody really knows, but there's too many accounts of weird things that look similar in climbing through people's backyards or their trees or whatever it is, seeing these ape-like or hairy men, or whatever it is. Maybe it's you, Bill, walking through their backyard. Who knows? I don't know, but
It could have been me
it could have been
with
you.
my shirt off.
No, oh boy. Okay, well, I will try to put that out of my mind, but there's something happening one way or the other. There's so much that we see that we don't know what it is. I just posted something to Agents of the Unexplained like an hour ago. There was a fireball, not in a bottle. There was a fireball going over Pittsburgh last night.
Meteor.
Oh, well, what's the difference? Fireball,
It was
meteor.
it
What's the
was a
difference?
meteor. It was
Okay.
seen even clean up in Erie. Um, yeah, that
Okay.
was uh, one of our admins from Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. She was up in the woods up in Erie last night, and she had her parabolic mic out, and she was checking things out and all that. Turn around, she saw that, and she said, "That's it. I'm out of here."
Really? She's out
Yeah,
looking for stuff, finds something, and leaves. A lot
she's
of people
looking for
do that.
Bigfoot.
Well,
Looking for Bigfoot. Now that kind of freaked her out. Like, oh no. Um,
okay. All right.
so, hey, Angel, check your messages.
I see Megan Baker. Hi, Megan. I see Diane. I see Tom. I see Karen. I see, oh my goodness, so many people. Stephanie and Bob and Jill and Jerry and
On what
Tom.
page?
Tom and Jerry are here on my Facebook Live.
Oh, okay.
And there's another, I have another feed. I don't know where it's coming from. It's just rolling down. I don't know. There's so much happening right now. It's pretty cool.
Uh,
So if anybody has
yeah.
any questions, if I can read it without my glasses, with my glasses, I got to get close here. So just
Well,
says
hi, Megan. She just
watching.
came
Good.
up on mine.
Okay. So, all right. Well, very
Uh,
good. So I think we
uh,
should probably get started because people are like, we tuned
yeah.
in. We've been hyping this up all week and, talking about you walking around without your clothes on. That's the only thing we talked about so far in a meteor, fireball
Yes.
meteor.
Yeah, that was interesting. I missed it.
Where did it land? Everybody saw it in the sky, but where did it go?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Now, if you see it up in Erie, you see it in down around Pittsburgh and all that.
Yeah.
Where did it go?
Where did it land? Dun
Uh,
dun dun.
um,
Maybe we'll never know. There's a
uh,
bunch of guys in the Jeep and the flatbed trailer went and hauled off whatever fell out of the sky
yeah,
and
that's weird.
its occupants. Ooh.
Ooh. Uh, but the thing is, you had a conversation with your mom today.
I did. We started talking about it. So we were hyping everything up throughout the week on the putting out the Facebook posts and things like that. So let's recap quickly. The last week we were talking about me growing up and some of the paranormal situations that I were in. Pretty much narrowed down to ghosts. That was the
Mhm.
last episode, and this one's pretty close. It's the ghost and the spiritual side of things. So that's kind of where we're going with this. But there's more paranormal stuff because it's the new normal. It doesn't say it on this shirt. That's on my other shirt that you sell. Oh, by the way, if you guys haven't purchased a shirt from Bill yet, do it. Go to his store. I think the link. Have you posted the link yet? I can't see
Yes,
which
yep,
feed
it's
you're on.
up there.
Okay, yeah. Go
And
buy a shirt. They're like $25. They're super comfortable, and there's some pretty neat things being associated with Bill and the group. There's a lot of people and agents of the unexplained, and they're really awesome people. So go buy a shirt. And Bill's going to have some books coming up soon, some ebooks and checklists and all kinds of really cool stuff. So stay tuned for that. Christmas is coming up. Buy some things for through Bill's store from Bill. You'll be glad you did.
yeah, I just posted it there.
Okay, good. So recap from last week real quick. We grew up in a house that was haunted. I was in the Navy and I spent a lot of time in the Navy and also some of the other working with some of the other branches, saw a lot of stuff there. But the ghost stories predominantly were the house I grew up in, some ghost stories in the Navy, and then we're going to pick up where from when I got out of the Navy, the house that I was in there, every house seems like it had something. And I don't know if it's some people are just more susceptible to that. I don't know, but I seem to be. But my sister was as well. I have a twin sister. So we'll pick it up from. Oh, also at the end of last broadcast, there was something happening actually here in the studio that there was somebody who committed suicide here about 13 years ago, and there's a person, Angel. She's coming in the studio here to be on the podcast. She actually saw him. She's very intuitive. They call her the ghost chick, and she was right on with a lot of different things. So we're gonna, when she comes in, we're gonna try to keep it positive and keep it upbeat. But there are some pretty scary stories that happened to me and some other people as well. So we'll pick it up from let's see. We're going to take it from when I got out of the military, and I was out of the military maybe 2 months or so, and I was in a really bad car accident. I gave the graphic details on the last show, and some people were like, "Oh my goodness, no, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to," it was gross. But I had died. That was one of the instances that I died and pierced that veil between here and there, wherever there is. I was there. Yet again. So 6 times in my life that I crossed over, and that was one of the big ones. I think that was number 4. There's been a couple times since. After that, after I got in a car accident, kind of had some surgeries back and forth, and then I went back to school, and I met my wife in school, and we had an apartment, and there's a lot of stuff happening here. And in the apartment, I started having some kind of like weird feelings, as far as, like I would see almost like a dream, like a daydream. I would see somebody walking by, much like Angel did when she saw the guy behind me last week here, right here. And I started seeing that and feeling that, and just like, is that my imagination? What's happening? And so I went, and it was I wake up one morning, I worked all night, super tired. I wake up, I look at the clock, it's 3:33. Okay, try to get back to sleep. Finally do the next week, 3:30, or next day, 3:33. So for almost 3 weeks, it's 3:33. And I'm starting to say, okay, well, is it my circadian rhythm? Is it just me? Is that my body rhythm at this point for whatever reason? So I started changing the clock before I went to bed, flipping it around. And then when I'd wake up right at a specific time, I would turn it around, and it was always 3:33. No matter what time it really was, it always said 3:33 on the clock, which was really interesting. And it got to be the point where I was like, what's going on here? And so one morning it was so bad, or not bad, but it happened so frequently. This 3:33 was coming up. I get up, I heat up some coffee or something, and hit the hit the microwave, and I pulled. It was like bubbling or whatever. I opened up the door, and I get I get what I was drinking. I close it, and it says 3. The countdown went to 3:33. I'm like, okay, there's another instance. I go to get gas. Same morning, I take my that coffee. I'm going down to top off with gas. My van didn't have the needle didn't work in the fuel, on the fuel gauge. So we just top off every so often. So I put it in, top it off. 3.33 gallons is what I need to top it off. Okay, so go down to Hardee's, and I get a biscuit, give them a 5, and get my biscuit. What's my change? $3.33. Okay, so this is 3.
Hey, you see that on the screen?
Which screen?
On where you and me both are at. That's Leona saying that. Leona Callow.
Okay.
Great lady there.
I'd love to meet her. Absolutely love to meet her.
You'll meet her at the conference.
Okay,
and,
good.
Hey, hide your drink. Someone's popping in on us.
Hey.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Everyone, Angel, the ghost chick is here.
You didn't tell me I was going to do this. I was like, man, I don't got my hair done. I don't have my lips on. I'm sitting here in my pajamas.
All right, we're going to change your name to Angel, the ghost witch lady.
Listen, my husband already calls me that. Also, sometimes he changes the first letter to a B.
Sometimes. Oh, but anyhow. Hey, Angel, the reason I brought you in too is more or less back up what he's saying and that on things, and because you got the experience and you read and feel things too like he does. You guys pretty much are twins on this situation, even though you catch things that he don't, and he catch things you don't. And that's why I kind of just spurred this on a moment, on a whim, to do this. So go ahead, Norm. Finish your story. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm excited that you're here, Angel. So thank you for coming in.
Nice to meet you, Norm.
What I was just talking about was my 3:33 awakening. So one morning, it kept getting more and more prevalent. 3:33 was just showing up. One morning I go, and it's on the microwave. It's at Hardee's. It's at the gas tank. And this was within 3 blocks from me heading to my apartment to one of my morning college classes. So I get there, There's nowhere to park, so I'm looking around the student parking lot. I mean, you know what? I'm just going to go in the staff parking lot, and I'm gonna chance it, get a fine, whatever. So I go in the staff parking lot, and it was a Monday morning, and I'm driving in, and it's a small parking lot, and I see a guy in front of me. He's looking for a spot too, and I'm like, and I see a spot, and I'm like, and he passes it up. I'm thinking, well, it must be a bike or motorcycle or something there. And he passes it up, and he's still looking around. Well, there wasn't anything there. And I pulled in this brand new paved parking lot. And not only was it newly paved with the new lines, but they had numbered the spots. And this spot was 333. One spot in the entire parking lot, and it's 333.
You want to know why?
Sure.
It's your angel number.
Okay.
Do you know about those?
I do now, because I looked it up, because it happened so much. And that it was that day I get out, and I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? I'm losing my mind, And it was like in the movies. I get this. There was a continuing education pamphlet, little booklet, comes flying through the Gulf breeze wind, comes, and it's like hits against my leg. And I pick it up, and it's this little magazine. I'm like, what is this? These courses. It's not English and math and all the stuff that I'm used to. It's continuing ed. So I'm like, huh, interesting. And I look, and on that page that it's open, there was a class called Mind, Body, and Beyond. And it's like, and it was $50. And I was, college kid, I wasn't getting any money at this point. I was like, I can't afford that. But I figured it out, got $50, enrolled in this class. And every week it was a different speaker. There was a shaman in there. There was a woman who was really good with crystals. And there were some other people, but the person that really resonated with me was a woman named Lisa Salil. And she comes in, she walks in, this little short woman, kind of like on Poltergeist, this really short woman. She comes in, and she's looking at me as she's walking, and there's 30 people in this class, and she's staring at me. I don't know what's going on over there, Bill. You okay?
He's not.
What was that?
Damn Bigfoot keeps sneaking in here.
Oh, jeez, is that what that was? So I'm in this class, and she's looking at me, and the professor says, okay, so what we're going to do today, I'm going to introduce the speaker. And she gets up, and she's talking about who she is and what she's doing and what she does. And she's looking at me. She said, I'm sorry, I got to stop this. She says, my energy is drawn to you. And she's pointing to me. And I said, well, okay, hey, good evening. Because it was a, Wednesday night class, like it started at like 7:00 about now. And she says, your energy is really, really strong. And I knew she sold psychic sessions. So I'm thinking, is this a pitch? I'm like, because this was all new to me. This whole spiritual realm, this, hippie stuff that's what I figured it was, just like, it's just all garbage. But it is not. It is as far from garbage. There's some fakes out there. And there's some people that will pretend to be what they're not. But there are some really interesting people who can explain the unexplained in pretty good ways. And you seem like you're one of those people. So I meet this lady.
All right. What time of day was this?
What time of day was what?
Her talking to you.
Oh, this was evening. It was a Wednesday evening. Class started about 7.
Okay, that 333 numbers weren't there. Okay.
Like 3:33 a.m. or p.m. or whatever.
Yeah, right.
So I meet this lady, and she's talking to me, and she's she keeps like reading for me. She's telling me about the house that I grew up in, the haunted house that we talked about last week. She's telling me all about that. She's telling me about the evil entities that are there. She's telling me about my closet. The same stories that I told you, she was telling me. Now this is Florida. She didn't know me. The internet wasn't as big back then. Not that any of that information would have been out there anyway. So she was right on. She was right on. She told me some things that there were bodies buried in that basement. She told me how they got there. Yeah. Yep. So there was some crazy things. And so it started kind of piecing it together. So I called my mother. I'm like, hey, how old is that? What's going on with it? What do you know about it? Because this is what I just found out about it from a really good psychic. And it was all accurate. My mother verified some things that the psychic said. And it was really, really, really interesting. It was freaky. It was scary. It was exciting. It was all these things because I wasn't crazy. I didn't just imagine things in the basement. There were things there, including 2 dead bodies, apparently. So that was really that was an awakening for me, because when I started talking to the psychic, she's telling me, this is what you've been through. And it's like she was reading a book. She's like, this happened when you were 8, this happened when you were 10. And she's going down the list. And I was like, okay, you have my attention, because I was kind of cynical. Even after she had verified and validated some of the things, I was still a little cynical because it was just new to me. I had to rethink the spirit side of things, and really, put my ego aside and be willing to learn. And I did. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made, because I met some pretty awesome people that do some pretty amazing things in a very healing and positive way. So it was really, really awesome. So that was the, my birthday, I guess, of my spiritual awakening, because I started saying, okay, let me step back and look at everything. Let me look at the pieces of my life, my situation, whatever, my life philosophy, spirit, from the spirit side, religion, all of that. You start looking at the pieces when you step back, and then you can see the pieces, and the borders between the pieces, and even the pieces that aren't even there, when you step far enough back, so
that's the thing. The spirituality of the awakening of your soul to all this. It's phenomenal once it opens up. It really is. Somebody's out there right now that always spoke the spirituality of seeing Bigfoot. And yes, I'm speaking about you, Jamie King. And I did a lot more research on that end of it because of him.
He's a great guy.
And the thing is, it could be ghosts, awakening to that. But you got to have an open mind and open your heart to all this. And granted, there's evil in some of this stuff, but you got to have enough good in your soul to be able to counteract that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's the thing there too, Norm. You do have a lot of shining light on you. All right.
Thank you.
But that will attract evil to you too. You got to remember that. Am I right, Angel?
Yeah. Yeah, you're really right on that one. You have to watch, especially when you're, I don't know, when you're of a light soul, then the darkness is more drawn to you. So, and I think that's why a lot of stuff happens to me, because I can go into like weird places. I went into Trans Allegheny Asylum, and it was like wham, 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 left and right, and it was just coming at me, and it, and I was thrown down on the ground, and I mean, there was a lot of stuff that happens to me when I go to places, because I think my soul is just too light. So anytime I go anywhere, if there's something nasty somewhere, I'm gonna pull it out. I'm gonna find it. Well, it finds me, I guess. I always say I'm gonna find it. No, it finds me. And that's why, like last week when I was watching this, I just kept catching this, I kept catching this thing like popping in, and then I caught it over your shoulder, and it's just it. But yeah, I mean, do you have I will tell you, I'm looking at you, because when I talk to people, if you see me going cross-eyed, that's because I'm tuning into you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that you have something, you have something that you need to see a Reiki master about. I can't get rid of this. You need to, if you know anybody that can Reiki, you do have something attached to you. Okay. I don't know where you picked it up from. I call it ghost herpes. Okay.
Ghost herpes.
Yeah.
Not where I thought this evening was going to go.
Did you really think I was going to tell you that? You have ghost herpes.
Maybe privately, you know.
I can't get
When
rid of it.
when I read for people, I say, okay, is it okay that I read for you? And is it okay if we set some time aside where nobody else is? That's how I do it.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you, like right out because I am what I am. I just blurt it out. I don't hold nothing back. There's something going on with you. I don't know. Is the thing that's in your house, or if you picked it up somewhere and brought it with you? Because sometimes I bring stuff with me. I get ghost herpes all the time. So, but I think it's because you are such a light, happy soul that is drawn to you.
Yeah, my wife asked me. We were watching the 28 Days Haunted. Amazing show. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
It is pretty cool.
And my wife said, "Would you want to do something like that?" And I said, "I think it'd be fun. I'm not afraid of it, but I don't want to bring anything home. I don't want to bring anything back." And she's like, "Okay, fair enough." So I understand what you're saying, that when you go somewhere, it's like kind of like it's like you're sticky and they just kind of stick to you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it feels like for me, it feels
I'll
like.
tell you what I do to stop that. All right. I'm not a big religious man. I believe in God. I believe he's out there. He's there to protect us and help us. But
Spiritual as opposed to religious.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. And even though I grew up in a church, I'm more spiritual than I am religious. So what I do is say, I'm shunning the evil away, and I tell them the good to protect me as I'm coming home from being out in the whole 9 yards. And I do pray about it, especially if I have a really bad experience out there.
Right.
You need to self-cleanse, basically.
Right. So would you say that a prayer is a meditation with a more
higher power,
with an intent? More of an intent. How
that's a thin line there. Okay. There's a thin line between spirituality and religion and prayer. I mean, right. I pray all the time. In fact, whenever I went to Trans Allegheny, when I left the main building, I had ghost herpes bad, because the only thing I could hear, I'm trying to go other places, and the only thing I can hear in the back of my head is some old lady singing London Bridge is falling down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why? And I'm like, what is going on here? And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, I got an attachment. So before I left there, though, I'm like, guys, you have to excuse me. So I have to go off alone. And I always do pray before I go on any kind of big investigation. I always pray, because I'm a very big believer in God and the Trinity and everything. Right. But then when I'm done, though, I take the other step, which is more of a spiritual cleansing. I'll hose myself down with sage, and I just have to be quiet for a little bit. And I have to tell myself, whatever is on me, please, you are not welcome. You are not welcome with me. You are not welcome in my vehicle. You are not welcome in my home. So you just better go back to where you came from. Because if you're not going to move on, then you need to get off of me, because I can't want it. I don't want your ghost herpes. Go away. So eventually, it will work. But sometimes I have to sit like for 5 minutes by myself, and I don't know if it's the prayer before or the cleansing after, because I kind of intertwine them both into one thing.
Right.
Because prayer is a more religious,
right.
thing.
Right. I got to agree with you, Angel. But read the screen, please.
Who, Mike? I mean, yeah. You want Angel to read it?
It's kind of
both of you guys.
Well, I can read it. I don't know I don't know if anybody else can see it from where.
My diva friend had to say something smart.
Yeah. Mike, get some smudge. Take yourself in the back corner for about 5 minutes.
Well, I've got 5,000 people that that are on Facebook, and they're like, "Oh, you have ghost herpes." Like, "Oh, that's your takeaway so far." Okay, all right, all right.
Sorry.
L. Walker, this says Facebook user, but this is L. Walker. I had one manifest where he knocked things over.
Mhm.
Well, usually when they make noise and they're knocking stuff over like that, I think it's because they want to get somebody's attention. I talked to somebody the other night. You know who I'm talking about, Bill. I'm not going to
Yep.
say their name because they might not want me to say their name on.
Right.
But the woman reached out to me and said, I got this stuff going on. It's a little crazy. I don't know what to do. And by talking to her, I kind of, because I couldn't see it, I couldn't, I have to kind of see. Like I could see yours because I can see you on, but I wasn't talking to her over, FaceTime or anything like that. I was just trying to pick up some small things from her. And I think I figured out what was going on, and I think because it was making noise. She's thinking about moving out of her house. Something's like, moving stuff around, turning stuff on that hasn't been turned on in years. And I'm going, I know what it is now. I'm like, it's got to be somebody close to you. And then when she told me what she told me, I was like, that's it. I'm like, talk to them. Talk to them. When they're moving stuff, they're knocking stuff over and stuff. It's usually somebody you're connected to.
And
9 chances out of 10 is somebody connected to you, and you got to figure out who it is. Talk to them. Tell them what's going on. Talk to them like they're in the room with you. Say, hey, let's have a powwow. I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking. And then most of the times it's going to quit. And after she did that, she wrote me back and she's like, hey, it kind of quieted down. I'm like, I told you.
Yep.
Because if
she
it
wrote
wasn't
me
that, then it was going to be something even worse.
Yep.
because I did send her to you. I said, you need to talk to Angel. And she goes, I got to call Angel. But yeah, I do know who you're talking about. And her husband, they're both really great people. And I'm glad you was able to help them. They deserve the help. But anyhow, we're getting way off track again.
We were talking about the class that I took. Lisa Salil, the psychic, came in, said, "You've got some, you've got some really cool energy. We need to talk about this." And she said, "Here, she's giving out her card, and she charged like $400 for a reading, and this was 20 years ago." I said, "Look," I gave her a card back. I said, I really enjoyed the class. It was wonderful. I can't afford this." She said, "No." She said, "Take this card. We'll figure it out." So I said, "Okay." So we were in contact like the next week. She called me. She said, "Look, we got to talk." And I said, "That's fine. I don't have any money, So she's like, "No, just forget that. We just got to talk. Let's meet for coffee. If you want to pay for coffee, great. If not, I'll pay for coffee, whatever. But let's just get together and start this thing, whatever this thing is." I said, "Okay, let's figure it out." So I told her what my class schedule was. She met me on the campus. We had some coffee, and she said, "Yeah, there's things that I'm picking up from you." She said, "Your history is so broad and so strong." She said, "And like you said, Angel," she said, "there's some things that are attached to you, but there's some things that they're not all bad." She said, there's some really big angels that are right next to you that prop you up and push you forward, and when they're having a bad day, so to speak, you carry them." She said, "That's the kind of energy that you have." And I was thinking to myself, thanks, but you just trying to get my money. See, this is me going back to the Pittsburgh, Hazelwood kind of, like, is there a scam here? I'm still, I'm still a little on the fence here. But she said, I'm going to explain to you how I do what I do and why I do what I do. And we sat there in Starbucks. Actually, it wasn't Starbucks. It used to be a Starbucks, and then it was a Kona Cafe or something, whatever. Sorry. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. So
it wasn't that loud.
Okay, right. I don't know. It was loud for me, so I apologize. So we're going through, and she says, I've got some cards for you. She had white business cards, and she put them all down. She laid them out like solitaire, and she said, I want you, and she put her finger down. She said, I want you to think of, what this card is. And I'm thinking it's just a white card. She said, no, I want you to really just what comes to mind for you when I touch this card. And I was like, oh, I don't know, bakery. Flip it over. It was a bakery, and she had like 12 cards, and I didn't get them all right, but I got a good portion of them right. And this was the first time. And so she had a new batch of cards every time we met, and she was kind of training me on how to do this thing and never charged me a dime for this training, for whatever. And it got to the point where I got so good that I could do readings. She would take me to her readings, and she would say, write down what you feel before we go in. And I would do that, and we'd go into the reading, and she would start the reading, and these things it would be like a checklist. I could just check them off my list as the reading was happening. So that was validation for me. And I would show her before we'd go in, of what the other lady was going to say, not what Lisa was going to say. So it was really neat how it all worked. And it was very enlightening. And because when I would leave, sometimes I'd feel heavy, but sometimes I'd feel empowered. And there was this ebb and flow of both. So it was really cool. It was really, really cool. And then something even bigger happened. I was at my apartment with my wife, and I'm sitting in, we're in the bedroom. It's late at night. Well, I'd say late. It was probably about 7. It's late for me now at this stage in my life, right? 7:00 is late. So we're there, and we're in the bedroom. My wife's folding laundry, doing stuff. We're just talking about our day. And I look over in the doorway, and my grandmother's there in a, is solid, like we see each other here in this plane. And I'm looking at my wife, and I'm looking at my grandmother, and it was just my girlfriend at the time, and I said, Lisa, do you see, look in the hallway. What do you see? What do you see in the doorway? And she's like, this is the doorway. What are you talking about? I said, okay. And so my wife started talking again, and I said, look, one more time, do this for me. What's in the doorway? And she said, nothing. What are you talking about? And I said, well, let me tell you what I see. And she said, well, there's been a lot happening with you and the psychic side of things and the intuition, and I'm looking at my grandmother, and my grandmother kind of beckons me, like, to come. And I looked at her, and I told my wife, I said, nah, she wants me to go with her. And she's like, well, go with her. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, it's my grandmother. So why do I have any of that trepidation? So I'm walking towards the door, and she goes down the hallway, my grandmother, and I get out to the hallway, and my grandmother's now in the living room. And she called, I don't hear anything. I just get the motion. And so I go down, and I walk past my grandmother, and I'm standing there like, well, am I losing my mind? What is really going on here? And I look at her, my grandmother kind of, motions for me to sit on the couch. I sit on the couch, and on the couch we had, at the end, we had ficus trees with little white lights going through. So there were a lot of shadows on the ceiling. Some are light, some are dark, whatever. It was just the whole ceiling was that way. And my grandmother, I'm like, what do you want me to do? And she looks up at the ceiling, and she's kind of looking, and she looks at, I look at her, and she looks at me, and it kind of nods up, like, look up there. So I look up there, and there was this border. It was a shadow. It was a border, and it got light, and there was an apple in it. Sorry. And it wasn't, I'm Italian, I talk with my hands. There was an apple in this picture, like this light border. And I'm like, what in the world? And then next to it, there's another light. It starts to glow the border, and there's a bear. Like, what in the, so I'm looking, and I see the apple, I see the bear, and then the border between the apple and the bear goes away, and the bear goes over and gets the apple. So it was my grandmother kind of training me to look at things and interpret things from another plane, from somewhere else, from something else, to kind of to guide my intuition, to help me, to help train me. And it was a really cool thing. It would be a border, and then it'd be a moving picture. It'd be a clip of something that I was familiar with, and then it would all kind of be one border and blend together. I sat out there for 8 hours going through this, and I was exhausted. I think it was a Friday night when it happened. Like Saturday, I just kind of stayed in bed all day because it was exhausting. And And it happened, I didn't see her all the time after that. It was just, but for 8 hours, we were just there and we were talking, or it was more of a feeling. It wasn't a speech like, "Hey, how you doing, Graham?" It wasn't anything like that. It was this connection from heart to heart. It was like light flowing. It was kind of, like fiber optics, I guess. It was just this light that was going. It was these feelings. It was just amazing. So that was my 333 awakening between the psychic and the training, and then my grandmother and the training, and then things that happened in the military, that training. So all that together was like, here you go, here's your new life. And
Okay,
it was great.
what I gotta ask you is, with that lady that was teaching you all your stuff, did she explain to you your spirit guide?
She did.
Okay.
She said they're like it's everybody has their own all-star team, is basically how she put it.
Yeah, everybody has one. So, you having that personal connection to your grandmother, when you're telling me the story, because I kind of had like the same thing.
Well, that was my grandmother's favorite. So all my cousins that are watching right now or later, that was my grandmother's favorite, just so you guys know.
Don't let them BS you. She
with
just wanted to curse them.
With your grandmother being your close, person to you. Sometimes when your spirit guide needs to make a true connection with you, because us being made the way we are, God gave us free will. He gave us that will that we're gonna not, take everything for face value. We're gonna,
right,
be doubters from the very beginning. So a lot of times your spirit guide will actually take the form of the person that means the most to you, so they can contact you. Because if they just show up, it's just, some random being, would you have followed it? Would you have been like, dude, there's some dude over there with a Fu Manchu and wearing a diaper who wants me to follow him? No, would you follow it?
He was in the Navy. He probably would.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Norm.
Let's roll the dice and see what happens.
Sorry, Norm. I had to.
Because part of my spirit guides, and there were several, but there was one that was prominent, and it was a man. It was an Indian man, and he said, "I'm here. I have a name that's really long. Just call me Cheech. So okay, Cheech. So that's what I called him, and he would show up, and he would teach me things, and it was really, really cool. One of the biggest things that I remember from him, and also my mother-in-law, it was my stepmother had passed, and so the two of them together, I would sit outside in this circle, and we had a sunken, it was just an outdoor area. Our backyard was like a park, and there was this huge area. It was like a sunken fire pit area. It was beautiful. And I'd sit out there, get out there in the morning with the sun, the sunrise energy. I'd be out there with that, meditating and, kind of connecting with that energy. And I'd be out there, I'd start sweating all of a sudden. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't all of a sudden, it was, 6 hours later, when I'd be out there meditating the whole time, but I was in class, so to speak. But it was one of the things they taught me was about perspective. And it's like, okay, look at this, in the spirit side of things, imagine a grain of sand, and then go a little bit up, size wise, and imagine a pebble. And it was like a creek bed. I was sitting in my fire pit area, but in the spiritual realm, I was in a beautiful forest next to a creek. And they would pull out a piece of sand and say, look how small this is. Feel how small it is. It was a lot of feeling. You can look at the colors. It was the visual stuff. Look at the, feel the smoothness. Don't touch it, but feel what it would be like to be smooth. And it was like trying to wrap my head around those concepts. And then it would be a pebble. different color, different size, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. So it went from sand to a pebble to a rock to a stone to a boulder to a mountainside to a continent. And then, kind of looking back at, what we would consider the earth, the globe. And then would go globe and then down to a continent. And it was going incrementally all the way down to sand. And then from sand back up. So I was going through these, the spatial relations of sand to, bigger and then smaller and then bigger and then smaller.
Yeah.
And then it was skipping from sand to continent, from continent down to pebble. So it wasn't just the small steps, it was the bigger steps in between. So that was one of the cool lessons that I taught, was how to move psychically through the psychic space from something small to something big quickly, instead of taking these small steps. It was just how to navigate spatially, I guess. So that was pretty neat.
I got to say one thing real quick. That was very interesting. But hi, baby doll. My wife's actually watching tonight.
No.
Hi, Beth.
Yeah.
You feeling better?
Now that's part of your spiritual awakening, big time, Norm. I know when I go out in the woods, if I go out by myself, I do meditate out there. I find myself more relaxed when I'm out in the woods. I guess that's my safe haven, or my utopia. I don't know how you would say it, but I do more meditating when I'm out there by myself. And I'll find a spot I feel comfortable at. I'll sit down and I'll start meditating and listening to my surroundings, but I'm still meditating.
I can't meditate. I cannot meditate. I've tried. I've had people try to help me. My brain is way too much. It's like, as soon as I start meditating, I'm like, oh, shit. Did I put the clothes in the dryer? Oh, no. Did I pay the DirecTV bill? I'm like, I cannot meditate for love or money. I cannot do it. And my spirit guide, I hear it laughing sometimes at me because they don't even care. They're like, all right, we're not meditating today. We're not even going to do that. And the one that I have that follows me is this angry Middle Eastern woman. She must be like Slovak or Romanian or something. And she yells at me, and I can't even understand her. But she yells at me, and I can actually feel her like slapping the back of my head.
Romanian.
Because she gets really mad at me.
That's the
like,
gypsy
no,
in it. That's the gypsy in her.
No dummy.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're awesome tools. I mean, when you can tune into them, they're awesome tools. But mine, I denied mine for a long time because I was like, nope, it's not even happening. I thought I was crazy, but no, I'm not really that crazy. I am a little crazy, but I'm not.
I know, like when you're out there meditating, you seem to be in another realm. And it's not like a couple of the dreams I had at all. It's just more relaxing, and you understand more, which is kind of neat, I think.
Absolutely.
I do mine in my sleep. That's the only time I can actually connect like into the deep.
Right.
Is when I'm sleeping, because if I'm awake, my brain's too high functioning.
Attention deficit.
I'm like a squirrel on crack. Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's just if you are a passenger in a vehicle, not driving, but sometimes that dotted line can help you kind of get into that mode. It is a form of hypnosis, seeing that line all the time, or being on the bus, that if you can take the city bus or public transportation, and you get familiar with the route that it takes, it's that there are certain triggers. It's like we're gonna feel like we're going up, and then there's gonna be a barber shop, and then we're gonna go left, and then there's gonna be a pizza shop. Once you start having that repetition, that pattern, your mind doesn't have to think about where you are. So then it can think about other things. So that's one way to meditate.
Yeah, I've tried that. I've tried that. Not my brain.
No.
No. But whenever I do at night, and I do it like every night, I can tell you every dream I have every single night. I can tell you the way it smells. I can tell you the way it feels. I go walking with my dad. I walk with my dad. He passed away 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And when I found him, that freaked me out because he didn't look like my dad. He was like 40 years younger, had all this hair. As long as I've been on this earth, my dad was bald. So I have no clue who this guy is. So like in my dream, I'm like in ninja mode. I'm going to whoop this guy's ass because I have no clue who he is. He's not somebody who I've always walked with. I always walk in this park, and there's this tower, and then there's this pond, and then there's this and that, and I'm always in the same place, and I'm always talking to the same ones. And this guy shows up, and I'm like, who are you? Here is my dad. So now I walk with my dad like once a week. And it's the funniest thing because I'll call up my sister Melanie, and I'll be like, hey, did you make lasagna? She'll be like, yeah, why? And I'm like, because dad was there and he wanted to have a piece, but he couldn't. And my sisters and my mom won't even talk to me about that. They're like, you're the devil, you're going to hell, and I'm like, all right. But I'm telling you, dad was at your house. He watched you make lasagna. He wanted a piece really bad. Melanie's like, you're weird. I don't want to talk to you. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, there was a weird, let me get to the next page here. So I lived let's just call it was on Parker Street here it wasn't Pittsburgh, it's outside Pittsburgh, but we bought this house, and kind of I won't say it's not Vatican style, it's a Cape Cod. I don't know how I got Vatican out of Cape Cod, but Cape Cod style.
I was gonna say that.
That's a way different style.
I don't know. My kid's on a cruise right now, and she's all over the place, and she was at the Leaning Tower of Pisa in France and everything else. So my mind's all over the place. But we lived on the Parker Street, and we had this house, beautiful house, and it was gorgeous. It was the oversized door and these big steps, and it was fantastic. And there was a little girl that lived there that had died many years ago, but we didn't know that. What happened? I even saw my wife was in the shower, and I'm on the bed and I'm reading, and the room kind of changed a little bit. It just felt a little bit different. I didn't see anything, but I felt her. And I looked at the bed, the bottom of the bed, and there was a little depression, boop, just a little tush, just sitting down on the bed. It wasn't like a full grown person where it would make a bigger indentation, just a short little boop. And then when the water went off, when my wife was done with her shower, the depression went up. I sat there and looked at this thing for about a minute, and I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And I told my wife about it when she came out. But I used to, when I slept, the dog would be on the side, and I'd reach down, I'd pet the dog. Our dog would be on the floor, and she got too big to kind of jump up in the bed or whatever. And so where I was petting the dog, and then I feel the dog come up in the bed, because I stopped petting it, and then it was like, okay, and then I put my hand back down, and the dog was there. I'm like, well, what's in bed with us? And because it came up just like the dog, and it pushed just right against me. It was a rainy night, dark and stormy, and it felt comforting, almost like I was protecting a child, because I do have daughters, and there was times when they'd be afraid to go to bed or whatever. Not too often, but this kid, this little thing came up and just came in the bed with us and just kind of pushed against the side, like I'm here. And it was just, and it didn't happen more. It happened more than once. The first time it kind of freaked me out a little bit, but then after that, I was like, okay, it's raining. She's scared. And my wife and I talk about it. I took the first bus out because I ran a bakery. So I'd take the first bus at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And then my wife, when I'd get home, she'd say, hey, did you kiss me goodbye? I say, yeah, I always kiss you goodbye. She'd say, yeah, but it was after the bus left. And I said, well, I was on the bus. So, and it was just a little kiss, little like tap on the cheek. And this kid just needed parents, it was a ghost kid. So we were leaving. We lived there in the house for maybe a couple of years. We were moving and I didn't want her to just stand there, So I talked to my grandmother and my grandfather, and I got this little girl who her name was Emma. And she walked with she walked in between my grandmother and my grandfather and crossed over. I asked my grandmother and grandfather to do that for her. So can you help this little girl, Emma, can you help take her where you guys are? And they didn't say anything, but they showed up and they came and she was standing there and she got each of their hands and she walked off and didn't look back, whatever, and just kind of faded off. And it was kind of a neat thing, So, and I told my wife about that, so she's like, well, good, so, but there was, I don't know if there was something else. So as we were selling the house, there was a little boy that was there and he was 2, 3, and he kept saying, he was talking to a little girl. So I don't know if it was a different little girl or what, but we sold the house and that was it. But it was really, it was kind of a cool story. I'd buy like toys and put them out in the hallway for her and things like that. But
Well,
it was really interesting.
I got a similar story. I believe I told Angel about the little girl in the house me and Beth bought. But I'm not going deep into it. But yeah, she's about 7 years old. And I don't know the story, why she was there or anything. My wife saw her the one night. I saw her a few nights, evening later. She kind of startled me. I went out in the living room and told my wife and daughter,
Right.
she's in the kitchen with me, basically. And I went back and told her, hey, I didn't see her then when I went in the kitchen, but I says, hey, I'm sorry you kind of startled me. I wasn't expecting you there. But hey, you're welcome to stay as long as you behave. No mischief, no throwing things, no hitting us or anything.
Right.
But you could stay here for as long as you want. And didn't see her after that. We had nothing moved around or anything. So
yeah.
Well,
and I've always said, no matter where you live at in Pennsylvania, there's old homes and old buildings all over this state from the 1700s on up. So,
and does it have to be the building or could it just be the land?
it
could be the land.
Could be both.
Yeah.
It definitely could be the land. Your property, where you grew up on, wasn't that on Indian burial grounds?
It was. I just I spoke with my mother this morning, and she had told me the story in the past, but she said that when she was in school, they used to teach local history, and she's in her 70s now. But when she was in high school, they used to teach local history, and they had said how the school itself was actually on what used to be it was a burial mound. They want to say it was American Indian, but it was just these big boulders, and they sliced all the bricks down and paved from that neighborhood all the way to downtown Pittsburgh. That's how big the rocks were and how big and how many there were. It paved all the way to downtown with those things. They cleared the area and put up a school, and that's what they did, right? And then where we lived, where our house was, she said everything was great. It was a great little neighborhood. Everybody got along. It was fine. But then there was some government housing that came in. They knocked down the houses across the street. They knocked the whole road down and put up all these closed houses. She said the day they started doing that, things got weird on that street and even more so in that neighborhood. She said happy couples that were happy for 20, 30, married for 20, 30, 40 years, even longer, started fighting about things they never fought about before. The neighbors who always got along started to not get along. Animals started to be really weird, and this is probably, excuse me, 1974 was the date that's what she told me, because I just spoke with her just a few hours ago. She lives in England, or I'd have her on here. They're 5-6 hours ahead. But she said that when they started doing that and tearing up the ground, that all these bad things started happening, and all the families just started fighting. When we would come home, she said we would have a great time out swimming or doing whatever. We would come home, and as we were pulling in, she said you could just feel people getting angry. She said she would do it, I would do it. I don't remember doing it, but I was a kid, And she said, I would start fighting with my sister. This is my twin sister. I loved her. We would always be fun together. We were kids. But when we got close to the house, it was just fighting, and everybody did that. And most families didn't make it. Most marriages didn't make it. There was a lot of abuse, drug abuse, alcohol abuse. There was a lot of demonic things. It was just awful. And Angel, you may be picking up on some of that, but because I see, I can sense you sensing that.
Do you know about elementals?
Elementals, please elaborate.
Okay, so elementals are special spirits that, they're kind of
Sorry.
because if you're into the paranormal, you know the spiel. Okay, there's 3 different types of hauntings. There's the residual, there's intelligent, and then there's demonic, which was never on Earth. Okay, so elementals are kind of like that realm that never walked the Earth. They're part of the Fae, which is fairy. And people don't realize those mounds you were talking about, those aren't Indian burial mounds. What those are fairy mounds. And when you disturb those and you disturb the ground so deeply underneath them, that's when all the negative reaches up out of their realm and hits our plane. Elementals are very, very, very strong entity, spirit. There's wood elementals. So they go with the elements of the earth. So you got earth, air, fire,
Wind,
water. I have an air elemental here, and it leaves footprints on my windows around my house, which is the coolest thing. I like scrub up my windows, and then we run around the house every morning and we look for footprints. I've seen it in the woods, like around my house. I've seen an earth elemental one time, and I swear to God, they look like hobbits. They look like hobbits, but their face is like punched in the middle, and they just got little slits in their eyes, and they're kind of weird. And they kind of walk around like all hunched over and really fast. But they're in the same class as like the Fae and the fairy and those fairy mounds. It's worse to disturb a fairy mound than it is to disturb Native American ground, because the fairies and the Fae and the elementals are what keeps all of your everything around you in check. Really, they run the world. Really, they actually do. So, and I'll have to talk to you sometime about that, Bill.
Yes, definitely.
I think Bigfoot is part of the whole elemental thing. I think they are guardians for the elementals, is what I think Bigfoot is.
Well, Jamie and Jenny King are into the fairies too, so maybe we all can get in a big discussion one night.
I can't even get started on them because it's just way too much. It makes my brain explode. But elemental spirits are such a strong spirit. When you come across one of them, Norm, you're going to know it, because it's like a freight train's going to hit you between the eyes, and you're going to be like, holy crap. And some people are a little bit more drawn to them. I guess they're drawn to me. But I've seen a couple of them. And I've seen a fire one time too. It was in a camp behind somebody, and there wasn't even a fire going, but it looked like a fire right behind this man. It was crazy. But it was obviously a fire elemental. So But I've never seen a water one yet. I'm afraid because probably where I'm going to find that is when it tries to drown me in the ocean. So no, thank you. But
Well, I saw a water spout. I never saw a water elemental.
no,
But,
elementals are cool. But probably that's what was going on in your street when you were talking about the mound and the boulders. And I'm like, oh shoot.
It was a
Yeah.
little bit further away where the boulders were. That's where the school was. It's a middle school. It's shut down now, and people like who go and investigate or explore abandoned places. My school's on there, so it's like that was my English class. You know, there's paints.
Dude, I was right there.
It's crazy, yeah.
Mm.
So it's called Gladstone Middle School, and they're redoing it right now. They're ripping it all apart and making housing out of it. So it was they took all the boulders down and built a school. The school lived its life for 100 years or whatever. Now they're ripping out the asbestos and doing whatever they're doing to make it, habitable now. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen to the people who live there.
I mean, seriously, it's like on that movie Poltergeist, when they build the development on top of the graveyard, and everything starts happening. If you mess with fairy dirt, if you mess with the fairy mounds and stuff like that, be ready, because you're gonna have the ride of your life, and you'd be lucky if you survive that crap.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's exciting. The whole thing is exciting. All these things. There are connections between fairies and fairy mounds and fairy rings. I don't know what they are, but I've seen the big green rings that just happen to show up. And I was like, look it up. It's like, what's a fairy? That's a fairy ring. Well, what's a fairy ring? How does that happen? It'll be in the middle of a field. There's one next to me, right in next to my house. Between my house and the next one, there's a little lot, and there's a ring that will show up every year for about 2 weeks. It's right there, and there's no reason for this perfect ring to be so lush and green, and everything around it's kind of like dried out. So it's so weird.
If you want to have some really good luck, take something shiny and put it in the middle of that ring, and make a gift of it to them.
Yeah.
And you'll have really good luck. You'll have really good luck. They like shiny.
Nice. 2023 penny. As soon as they come out, I'm sticking one
there. You go.
Okay, I got to take a quick commercial break. Are you guys ready?
We're ready.
Hey,
March 25th, folks.
That's going to be fun.
Penn, Ohio Paranormal Conference.
I'm looking forward to that.
Norm will be there with his Theta Wave Blue.
I will be.
Wave. Yes.
And I might be wearing this shirt, maybe.
Maybe. Maybe. And we're going to have Angel there, too.
And I will not be wearing this shirt.
I hope not. But be prepared. March 25th, 2023, from 10 to 6. We'll have 6 speakers. Dan Hagman, who's out there in the audience tonight. Jamie King, along with his wife, Jenny. We got Brian and Terry Seach. We got James Krug. We got Ed Kellerman, Mike Falliman as speakers. We got a bunch of vendors. So make sure you stop out. Pay a visit to these fine people right here.
So
say hi to me.
So going to be what? Food? Is there going to be food?
Oh, definitely. It's at the Hickory VFW, and I struck a deal with them to do the food. The deal is I don't have to deal with the food.
That's a good deal.
That's a good deal. That's one less headache for me. But no, I had to throw that in there. We had to promote it. Angel, she has her own page, Ghost Chick Angel. Norm, he does consulting and, well, a little bit of everything. He does, and he's great at that. All right, let's get back to the show. I'm done talking about you guys and myself.
Oh.
We got to talk about Norm.
Well, we don't have to talk about me.
Hey, cheers.
So when you have your encounters or whatever you have, I don't know what you want to call it. When stuff happens to you, do you get like really strange headaches and stuff like that?
No, and I never have at all. I've been tired, really tired after encounters or whatever, but I've learned how to, kind of bathe myself in light and kind of defend and that kind of thing, if that makes sense. So
Uh,
it's kind of like it used to just come through. Everything would just come through and it would just wipe me out. And I would just be so tired and it was just so overwhelming. I couldn't go outside. I couldn't go to Walmart. I still choose to not go to Walmart, but I can do it if I have to. But there was a point where everybody I walked by, I could feel what they were feeling. And it was too much.
Yeah.
And so I've learned how to I was taught how to kind of let the information come in flow. I could I was in charge of turning of the amount that came through and when it came through. I was taught how to do that. So now I'm okay. But there was a time where it was just overwhelming. It was just way too much, and I
all
can
right, with
see.
you reading them and reading that, um, it it was said to me, and I believe you even mentioned it, that where we met at,
Okay.
there is 9 Bigfoots there,
Yes.
and they said, I believe Marv is the one that told me that you saw them and you read their minds.
Well, it's a little bit different
That
than that, but they connected with me on a
right.
level, and I thought it was people at first because that happens, and but there was an older female energy who was whatever we're calling that Bigfoot Sasquatch, whatever that being is, whatever that energy is, she connected
Mhm.
with me. It was a very loving grandmother like energy, who kind of it seemed to me where she kind of got to that point in her life where she's like, okay, look, we need to figure this out. They want to know a little bit more about us. We want to know a little bit more about them. But she made this connection with me, and it was really interesting. And so yes, I did make a connection with them. She showed me kind of like, excuse me, where they lived. We went in, I sat down, I drew what she was showing me, and I had never been anywhere other than this little campground where
Right.
it is. So what was coming through, I drew it. I said, she says they live right here. And then she's showing me going through these big rocks and kind of going down through some like water and then coming up. And it was like their den, and it was like I smelled deer meat, like it was like rancid, dry, like a
Hmm.
beef jerky, dried jerky kind of a smell. Dried fish, dried meat. There were tufts of like roots. I mean, they had their food kind of like in a pantry, kind of on the side. That's what I was being seen. It was almost like transpose, like when you look through those the old like a plastic, a piece of plastic,
Right.
you can see, you can still see what's really there, but you can see, kind of the layers. And that's what it was, like a daydream, and I drew everything.
Orange.
And I said, here you go. And he said, wow. He said, he said, you've never been here other than here. You've never been anywhere else in this area, right? I said, oh, I don't know. No. I said, I met you. You let us eat fish on your
Mhm.
place. And that was it. He said, well, I'm telling you, everything you drew is absolutely 100% correct. He said, there's an old quarry up there exactly where you drew it. He said, what you are seeing is an old quarry. And I said, well, that's where they live. I said, it's right. The quarry is right over there. He said, absolutely. He said, it's all overgrown. You couldn't even find it on Google Maps. So there's no way you could know about it. But I drew it, and I only knew about it because that energy came through from
Right.
her.
From
And
her.
the name was like Yohame was the name that she gave me, the energy that she connected with, that she
Okay.
identified with, and that's what came through. And I drew everything. I gave it to him, and there was another guy, and they both said, yeah, we're from this area. You're absolutely 100% correct. And there was 2 pods. The one she was at had 4. It was her. There was like what we would consider a middle-aged, kind of man. And there was two like teenagers, what we would consider teenagers. So that was the pod of 4. And then there was another pod of 5 that was like another 5 miles away, but I didn't connect with them like I connected with her. But she told me about the other group. Yep, absolutely did.
Or it's sort of like they were relatives, or
I didn't get that. I didn't get
Okay.
that. But you and I will have to. I have my notes around here. They're actually upstairs in the office. I didn't know we were going to be talking about this, or I would have brought them down. But I have my notes. I made a copy of what they gave me. I scanned it on my phone, printed it out, and then deleted it. But it's up in my office, and I gave a copy to Marv, so he's got
Yeah.
a copy somewhere. Should.
Oh yeah, Mark. He has it in his little office.
Yeah.
I know he does. Something like that, he would. Um, yeah, because I was wondering about. I've been wondering about how you connected with them, and all that. It's
Same way I connect with people. Same way I connect with anything else that has a consciousness. And consciousness is in itself is very hard to define, right? I mean, what
right.
what makes something conscious? We could sit there and talk about that for hours. Is a plant conscious? Does it understand what's happening around it? I mean, the fresh grass smell when we cut grass, that what we think, oh, that smells wonderful. That's actually the plants saying, hey, there's something happening. Be careful, guys. So is a blade of grass conscious? Is it only conscious because there's
Uh,
other blades of grass near it? What is consciousness? And that in itself is super fascinating to me.
yeah, yeah. Try to figure that one out. Yeah, I
That's
know everything gives off a vibration.
There you
Excuse me.
go. How you do that?
Some sort of vibration. Everything, including a rock. So, is that a consciousness? The
Mm.
vibration?
That's a really good question. Really good question. Dr. Joe Dispenza, if you've ever heard of him and his work, he explores consciousness and what it is, and more so on how we can use that to do better in our lives. I can't see if Megan's on my feed or another one, but Megan is really, really. She and I have had some conversations about Dr. Joe Dispenza and what he does and how he does it, and it's really interesting. Um, there's an institute, the Monroe Institute, that he's with, and I'm probably going to get flagged for even talking about it. But the Monroe Institute has a lot of defense agencies kind of stuff attached to it, kind of discreetly on the side. But anybody listen in the Monroe Institute, they do some pretty amazing things about consciousness and improvement and just doing better overall. But it's really really interesting. Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's all over TikTok and Facebook and everything else. Dr. Joe Dispenza, I'm a big fan. Big fan. So
Spell his last name.
I think it's Dispenza. Joe Dispenza.
Okay. Uh,
It's a rabbit hole.
I've been going down a bunch of them.
Yeah,
I've been.
isn't that something?
It's
Isn't
something
it?
Jamie said. He believes I had a lot of spiritual awakening as of lately, and yeah, but it's a bunch of rabbit holes I've been running down.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and
I
and
have. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
here's a friend of mine. She's putting this up. I'm putting this up. Susan Previn.
Yeah.
She runs the Mercer County history, legend, and brain teasers. I call it a brain teasers,
Brain
but it
teasers.
yeah, because she throws things out there make you think.
Hmm.
And you know, and she lets me post my paranormal stuff on this page. It gets some slack from these people, but other ones I start getting messages from them,
Yeah.
from the ghost to Bigfoot, uh, and that. A lot of people uh, don't really want to talk about their experiences a lot more than you think.
Do you
And
do you find that people want to talk about it more like say this year than they did 10 years ago?
yes,
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
because they hide behind the internet.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
I
They hide
think
be-
it's also because you know what? Every time you turn on the television, too, there's like Bigfoot expedition. There's unexplained. There's, there's so much different, television is televised everywhere. Paranormal, everything is out there. So now people are getting a little bit more comfortable with it. Now they're like, hey, guess what?
Mhm.
Because
Um,
I'm telling you, 20 years ago, I would have told anybody I could see what I see and do what I do
Right.
because they'd have put me in a padded room.
Right.
Now
which is true.
it,
That's very true.
Yeah.
Even
now it's
though
a little
I
bit more
always believed in Bigfoot, and I believed in UFOs because I saw one. I believed in ghosts. I saw them. I believed in orbs. I saw them. But
Mhm.
I never saw Bigfoot till almost a year and a half ago.
Yeah. So what?
And a lot of these people, the reality of it is that they haven't they're closed mind. They never open their minds up to it.
You know what opened my mind to this whole thing when I was a kid? In Search of with Leonard Nimoy.
Oh
Yes.
man, I love that show. I
Uh,
love that show.
uh, all right. Here's
That's right.
something.
Bigfoot.
Here's something Susan just wrote. You guys can read that. Um, and, and she's right. She's right. And I'm the type of person, I don't care what you think of me. I'm not going to lie about this crap. I'm very adamant about that. I, you know, the first time I ever saw an orb was in a cemetery, and that kind of freaked me out because at first we thought it was a light in a mausoleum. And my wife was with me, my daughter was with me, and a couple of the grandkids. We're walking up there that one evening. It was dark. No one's around. So it's peaceful. We just take our time walking and relaxing. We only lived a few houses away from it. And my wife goes, "What's that light up there?" Well, there's no street lights around. There's no houses around. So that's a light in that mausoleum. We're walking a little bit more, and I just stopped. I said,
Wow.
wait a minute. There's no light in that mausoleum because there's no windows in that mausoleum, and there's no lights here.
Yeah.
No, I do not want to go any farther.
That was back then. If that were to happen today, would you go? Would you, if you had the opportunity again, would you go closer?
That was 12 years ago. I'm going to say maybe.
Come on.
I'm not going to say
let's
yes.
do it, bro. Let's do it. You
I'm
were in
going
the Army. I was in the Navy. Let's do it. Let's go. We'll take.
I'm going to say maybe.
Angel, you want to go with us? We're going.
I'm going.
Let's go.
I'm the first one in.
You just we just voted.
Depends on the feeling I'm getting.
Fair enough.
All right. I go with my gut on that.
Oh, see, I don't even go with that.
Yeah, see, that's
where that little Romanian lady in the back of my head's going, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Here's something else Susan put up.
She was in Gettysburg. Oh, that place is just crazy.
Yep. Angel spent, 2 weeks there not that long ago?
Yeah, I go there all the time. I lived there for 2 years, nonstop. That's all I did was eat, breathe, and play with goats and everything else.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer, go with your gut. And my gut told me that night, don't go.
Keep walking.
Yeah.
Turn around and get out. And that's what we did.
Sometimes the best fear is right on the boundary of the best growth is on the boundary of fear. So
I know that boundary. I believe me. I know that boundary.
Yeah.
I have no boundaries.
I'm still learning.
That's your problem. That's your problem there, Angel.
That
can get you in trouble.
Need to go. We need to go ghost hunting, Norm, because you're like me. I think you're like. People are like, I'm going in there. I'm like, well, get out of the way so I can go in.
I will go.
At my camp out this past April, Jay Fouch and I, he was just getting in his infrared out of the his car, and it's like 12:30, 1 o'clock at night, and heard a whoop from a supposed Bigfoot. And we turned, and he looked at me, and I looked at him. We both said, "Did you hear that?" And of course we did. Um, and the thing is, when we turned and looked, there's 3 orbs over that way. Yeah, I wanted to go to it, but it was across down the hill, across the road, and way out over in the woods.
You were in the Army. You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
63 years old. I'm not running in the dark.
Listen, I don't ever run. I don't run for nothing, but I will power walk.
I'm not down
Right.
that hill. That hill was
There
like
you go.
this.
So
That hill was like this.
Here's the thing. I think if going into a situation, whether it's ghost hunting and looking for Bigfoot or whatever, as long as there's positive intent, if you don't go looking for Bigfoot with the intent to get rich,
Yeah.
I think you'll see one.
Exactly.
if you
Exactly.
go ghost hunting with the intent of helping them cross over or find what they're looking for or whatever, I think that's okay. But for me to just go on and be on a show for ratings and I don't, that's not me. I don't want to do that.
My buddy Rob
own a
just
media
put that up
company.
on
I'm
the
all about
screen.
ratings and things like that. But in that case, when it's
Yeah.
when it's about exploiting a soul that is hurting, I don't want to do that.
No,
Yeah.
no, not at all. My buddy Rob just posted this. No, I think you're right, Rob. And I think you're right. I probably would, but protecting. Hey,
No.
Angel, I could kick you out of the studio real
That's
quick,
it.
lady.
Yeah. Your name's not even on the promo. If I'd have known, I'd have been promoting you all week.
Oh, jeez. Mike Hartman the second, huh?
So let me ask you, Angel, because I want to give some value to the viewers. If you could give anybody advice about the psychic world, just in general, what would you say? And that's a very broad statement, a very broad thing. So let's in a positive way, how could somebody improve their life how could somebody improve their life in a using intuition or things like that? So let's narrow that down, that question. What would you say to them?
I don't even know. I don't know.
I think you were put on the spot.
Yeah. I really was.
Well, I'm just curious. If you want to think about it and just put the answer in the comments, that's fine. No, I'm just curious.
I have many answers. I mean, I don't have just one answer. That's the whole problem. I don't have just one answer because when it comes to intuition and psychic ability, like I don't ever tell people that I am not a psychic. I am not a medium. Okay, I am a 2X all day long. I am not either.
2X.
I just know what I know. I have been comfortable enough in my own skin now and with my own body and my own mind that now that I can open myself up to other possibilities. And that's all it really is. It's another possibility because sometimes your life just has no answer and you have to find it in another place. And that's how I find my answers to my hard questions is it's in there. It's in there. So if you can help other people with that and finding how they find their truth in themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what I really think. I mean, that's just all I think. And I try to do it in a way that I'm going to be kind and helpful. I don't want to do it to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to do it to be rich. I don't want to do it to be anything other than me. I'm just Angel. I'm just, I'm just Angel. And and let me help you on your journey. Let me show you how to read your own self, because if you can't read your own self, you're never going to read anybody else.
Now, all I'm going to say on that too is, as long as you're true to yourself,
Exactly.
you can be true to others.
Exactly.
Okay.
What do you mean by that? I think I know what you mean, but what do you mean by
What
that?
I mean, if you're not truthful with yourself about your spirituality, your knowledge, and your and being true to say, like I'm always saying, I'm all about the learning and sharing the experiences
Mm-hmm.
and the knowledge. And I'm very, very truthful about this. You know, yeah, I'm going to be 64 years old in another month,
Wow.
but you can still teach this old talk tricks,
Yeah.
okay? And that's what it's all about. Um, like here's something Dan Hagman just posted. He thinks that Bigfoot may be interdimensional, have the ability to cross over into this dimension. Uh, you might be right, Dan.
I think we
I'm
all
open.
are.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all are, don't you, Norm?
That's deep. So
Don't
what,
you think?
that we are all correct? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think we can all be interdimensional. I mean,
Sure.
we have so many dimensions in
But
your mind. Your mind has you only use this much of your brain.
Right.
Can you
Right.
imagine if you used the whole thing?
That's
yeah,
a
the other
podcast
part I
unto
used
itself.
as a hat rack. Yeah, I know.
You know,
But no, seriously. But if you got to be truthful with yourself and your abilities and your learning and the whole 9 yards. So it can go on to others and you can share it with others. You know,
right. When somebody passes, there's a lot of friends that I have, some, whatever, on Facebook, but there's a lot of people always passing, and people like, oh, I miss my aunt, I miss this person, whatever. That's
How do you deal with
different.
that?
You feel that?
all right. A
So
couple nights ago, I was going through my friends list. There was over 40 of them died in the last 3 years.
wow, yeah.
Did you unfriend them?
Oh
No, I won't unfriend them. I will not. I cannot. Let's put it that way. I can't do it.
that's tough. It took me a long
I,
time to take my dad's contact information out of my phone. So I get that, brother. I do.
I still got several of them in my phone. And
I still have my dad's last voicemail. I'm not saying nothing.
Oh man, I
it's
feel
just,
that. I do.
it's just,
Yeah.
I believe they went to another plane.
Right.
We are one of my friends, and we became friends when I supposedly drowned, which I never was in the water that time.
That's what
Me
the
and him
news
became friends. Well, me and Rob was another one of my friends back then, but not him. This man passed away last year. One of the strongest guys I know, even though he was one of the smallest guys, because he ended up with cancer. He watched his mom have cancer, and they said she can live 5 years if she does chemo. If not, she'll be dead within a year. Well, she did the chemo. She was sick for 11 months and died. He says, I'm not going through that.
Yeah.
And they told him, if he doesn't do chemo and that, he'll be dead in 3 months. He said, I'm not doing chemo. He lived 2.5 years longer.
Yeah.
But he had the biggest brave face out there. And, I miss him every day because we spoke every day on Facebook.
Yeah.
And there's other ones. The names I come across, I went, oh my God, they're gone.
Isn't
Another one.
It just hits you. It just hits you different,
Just this past month, the month before, a good friend of mine from down in Indiana County passed away. We were basically the same age. He was born in November. I was born in January, and his birthday came. I cried. I admit it. I cried that
Right.
when I remembered it was his birthday. I said,
Yeah.
and he was always calling me saying something stupid just to get on my under my skin and just to
Right.
agitate me.
Right.
Miss that. But I know he's in a better place. He's in
Yeah.
up in a better plane, you know.
So,
Uh,
so let me
so
ask you
I
this.
believe you do go to another dimension and you leave this vessel behind.
Right.
But can you go interdimensional? I don't know.
Are we? I I think that the easiest way, and Angel, please help me articulate this. We are eternal beings in a temporary body.
Exactly. Exactly. Because our soul is just going to keep, and it, if you read about past life, regression and stuff like that, I mean, you have lived a million lives. There's only so many divine sparks made. And you're just, this outer shell is your temporary home.
Right.
That's all it is. It's an outer shell. So when people pass, um, now what I do, I tell them, I'm like, oh, what do you mean they died? And then I'll be like, them lucky son of a gun. You lucky son of a gun. I can't believe they died. Like when I hear that they lived, I'm like, oh, that's just too bad. Because why would you want to be here?
Right.
Why would you want to be on this earth? I really, and people are like, oh, you're just way too dark, Angel. I'm like, no, listen, I don't believe in hell. I don't. I don't care how many times they've drove it into my head in, in church and stuff. I don't believe in it because God is the supreme being who made us all, and he loves us all so very much. He would never send us there. Who tortures that soul is yourself. You torture yourself as a soul because you know what you did. So now you got to live with it. So that's why I tell people live the best life you can.
Yeah.
Live it and be true to yourself. Be the person you want to be. Because when you leave this world, you're coming back. Okay? And some of us are lucky enough to have some memories of our past lives. And
Yeah.
and Norm, I mean, you know what I'm saying is right. That
All right.
you are
What you're saying there too, something Susan said. She talked to you about this and about going to church as a child. What she was taught, but she feels she needs to be true to herself, just like you're saying. And and Susan, she's right. Be true to yourself about it. Do the investigation. There is people that are stuck in between.
and
Uh,
when I find them, that's the thing, is like people are like, oh, you're a ghost hunter. You're just, part of the devil. No, what you don't understand about me is when I find them though, and if I can make that connection with them, I try to find out, why are you still here?
mm-hmm.
Why are you still here?
So, Angel, you're not a ghost hunter. You're a ghost helper. Let's
I
coin that
am.
term. Let's coin that term right here,
That's
right
right.
now.
I'm a ghost helper because I will get down and I will look at them and I'll be like, go home. Go home. This
Go
is
to the
not
light.
home.
This is
Go
the
home.
I think uh, that this is the
Yeah.
lowest plane of existence, and this
I
is the
think,
hardest. And
yes.
this is why we have the anxiety. That's why we have
Yeah.
the depression. That's why we have the feelings of dread, because you can only have feelings of dread if you have a comparison, and the comparison is the love and the light and the higher vibration, because we were talking about vibration earlier,
Right.
right? So this is we only know things in comparison to other things. That's what we do. We compare apples to apples and so on. So
Yeah. This is what Rob said too, talking about like you're saying. There's infinite dimensions. They're all shared the same space, just on different planes. Heaven and hell also exist in this realm. Ghosts and apparitions are just able to transpire between these realms. So I don't know. I don't know if they can just transpire between realms or
Well,
just
what
to keep
we
going back and forth, Rob. No.
we would have to define what a ghost is and what a haunting is.
Yeah,
You
I
Right.
know,
mean, it's hard to
because
do.
because you have hauntings that play like a cassette tape over and
Yeah,
over. And
for
is
Right.
that
example,
is that due to the environment and they
is it
somehow record,
vibration?
is it did they somehow record the vibrations in the nickel cadmium, the NiCad, right? That's the old cassettes for those
Yeah,
that are old enough to remember that. Did that situation get recorded in the environment and that just plays during certain atmospheric conditions? That's a possibility, right? What about the ghosts that seem to be interactive? That's a different thing, right? So what
Right.
is that? When we have EVPs, when we have these different when a mirror falls over or something falls over and like what's going on? That's interactive. That's here in the now. That's not a recording. So
no,
what is that? What is the first thing compared to the second thing? So is it in
Uh,
between here and there? What is it stuck like in between this person, this soul, this being? Are they stuck?
all right. I'm going to throw something at you.
Yes, sir.
Aliens, when they die, say an alien died on this planet. And I'm not talking illegal aliens. I'm talking outer space aliens.
I don't know. I've never came across an alien haunting. I don't know.
Uh,
That's beyond my pay grade.
So
Would they
what,
would they
what is your
travel through our
what's
realm
your
to
question?
get
What's
back
your question,
home?
Bill?
Or they travel from our realm to their realm?
So I think what we would need to do again is first define what is an alien because we consider aliens extraterrestrial, right? And this gets
Exactly.
into extraterrestrial means extra land.
Yeah.
Where are they coming from? Are we all in a snow globe? And this is one of those rabbit hole things, right? Are we all in a snow globe
Exactly.
where
Yeah.
we're in the middle or we're somewhere in this, imagine a frisbee and we're, a snow globe with a frisbee bottom, and are we here and the extraterrestrials are on the land beyond Antarctica? And
See, you're talking like Men in Black ending type crap.
Yes.
When I watched that movie, that like mind blown. I was like, oh crap.
I don't remember what is that.
Men in
I'm
Black.
sure I've
That
seen
movie,
them.
Men in
No, I'm
Black,
sure I've seen the movie. Sometimes I don't remember things for whatever reason,
Will
but
Smith and
Tommy Lee Jones, my
Tommy
that's
Lee
other
it.
Jones.
my other boyfriend in my other realm.
They're-
Create your own
oh
reality.
my God. Here
Speak
we
it
go.
into existence. Yeah. So
Um,
what are we saying? Why are you saying
Where do they go when they die? Are they
when,
do they
yeah,
travel to their
basically,
realm?
are they hanging out in ours?
do we as a soul, if we say a soul is the vibration, the energy, can we choose to become a rock next time and a tree the time after that and a cat the time after that? I don't know.
I don't know.
Based on the
that's
lessons that we want to learn,
yeah.
possibly.
Uh, Rob followed up my question with something else. Would that not predispose an alien would have mortality? Perhaps only us humans have mortality. No, I believe they would have mortality. I really do. But
I don't know. They have some in a freezer somewhere.
Right. Well, let's talk about mortality. Let's define. I mean, mortality is something living, then something dying. What is the length? In the Bible, it says
the
that
vessel,
there are
the vessel
kings,
dies.
right? There are kings in ancient Egypt that used to live, tens of thousands of years, according to these
Yeah.
hieroglyphs, right?
Right.
Isn't there the tablet of the kings that they? So what is that?
Yeah.
Were they human that lived longer for some reason, and now today we're human and we don't, our
All right,
life.
here's my thing. Um, their sense of time and our sense of time were different.
Who's they?
Who's they?
The, the Egyptian kings that lived for 10,000 years.
We can't do that because now we have to discuss about the Mayan calendar and the Aztecs and all that crap.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you're
Everyone's
making me-
calendar's
Now you're making
different.
my brain hurt.
Right.
Everybody's calendar's different.
if we can agree that the sun comes up and the sun goes down today as it did then a day is 24 hours.
Yeah.
The Earth's flat.
Well, that's even better than me.
No.
There are
Fine.
people a lot smarter than I will ever be that say that is the truth. What do we really know? Everything that we know, we have taught ourselves. Whether it's, we pick an orange and we call it an orange. Why do we call it an orange? That's something we made up. When we see a cat, we call it a cat. But if we're out in nature, in a hippo sees a crocodile, does a hippo call a crocodile? What is the hippo's name for a crocodile? Because they have to communicate somehow. Right?
Yeah.
So
Susan
we
says-
only know what we teach ourselves.
Listen, don't get
So
me started
we don't
on
know
demons
anything.
and angels.
Yeah.
Say again?
Susan says her aunt's answer to everything can be found in the Bible. She thinks aliens are demons or fallen angels. Well, your aunt's wrong.
Your aunt's wrong because fallen angels are part of the Nephilim.
Yeah.
There's the Nephilim and the Seraphim and a whole list of others.
There's like 9 stages of
okay,
angels.
this is driving me crazy. My cord's all twisted and it's driving me crazy. Hang on.
That's because it's getting so intense.
Hey, I can still hear you, Angel. Don't say it.
What? I didn't say nothing.
Speaking of getting twisted, let's try
Okay.
this Friday night. Huh?
I'm sitting here trying to twist it.
Norm's over there getting drunk.
I'm not
Bill's
getting
hanging
drunk.
himself with his cord, and I'm just off the rails.
Always. But anyhow, hey, Norm,
Yes, sir.
how long you want to talk for?
I mean,
Another 10 minutes?
10 minutes sounds great.
All
Oh, come on. This is a good one. We're going good now.
We can
You
do. I
can't
don't want
quit
to.
so early.
I don't want to turn our guest off. I've on my Facebook. I have dramatically decreased at the 1 hour mark. So maybe we do that from going forward. Maybe we stick with an hour.
Yeah, I didn't realize how long we were at it till I
Well,
just looked at the time.
We're almost at 2. We're almost at
Yes,
2.
I know. We're almost. That's why 10 more minutes.
But we're solving the mysteries of the universe. Can you really put a limit on that?
Yeah,
No.
right?
Yeah.
No, you can't.
What?
But with all honesty, Angel.
This is a
Angel. Keep the
What?
loving to the minimum while we're on air.
You know what's funny?
And if
You're all
he keeps
getting
hitting that damn microphone,
I
I'm going to
knocked
go down to Hazelwood and smack him.
I knocked my whole phone over, and I'll tell you what. I'll show you my high. If you could see my studio, it's pretty fancy. But look, I've got a pencil keeping my. Can you see? I've got it like keeping the right angle so that because it's all about the angle, right, guys? We know that. So let me.
Okay, so Norm, back to your question. What's your answer to that question, Jasmine? Trying to, what would you tell people?
What would I tell people if, from an intuition standpoint?
Yeah.
I think I would say along the lines of listen to your gut, like Bill was saying earlier. Think about how things feel, right? Think about how things feel. If a situation feels good, it's probably good. If it feels like it's just sometimes a little off, it's probably a little off. So I would say trust your gut. Number one, I would say step back and without being judgmental for whatever reason, step back and try to understand, try to be empathetic, put yourself in their shoes of whoever's just shooting garbage at you, right? Whoever's like being negative. I'm not saying to be not tolerant, but to put up with abuse. I'm not saying that. I'm saying try to understand first. That's what I would say. Try to understand where a person's coming from first. Because if you understand that this person had abuse in their background or whatever, it kind of gives a little bit of, it frames the situation a little bit differently, right? You know what I mean? So I would say to listen first, listen second, listen third, just keep listening. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen more than you speak. Right? That's
Yeah.
old
Right.
hermetic, kind of philosophy. So to answer your question, I would say listen, try to understand more than anything, and trust your gut. That'd be the first two things that I would try
Well,
to
you
communicate.
know, if you're trusting your gut, then your intuition's working at full speed. Okay.
Hmm.
I'll give you an example. There, a few days before my wife's surgery, I went out with Jim Sparks, and we're walking down this one trail, and I was getting a little weird feeling, but it's okay.
Like what?
Just something's off, something's around. There's
You had
something
the
around there.
heebie-jeebies.
Not really the heebie-jeebies, but we felt like that there was someone or something there. Uh, but as we got further down the trail, it was getting kind of thick and overgrown on both sides. And I just got this really, really bad feeling. And I stopped and I looked at Sparky and I go, Spark, what kind of feeling you getting right now? He says, it's kind of off. I says, I'm getting a bad feeling. He went with my feelings and says, okay, we're out of here. He turned and he had his light on him and he turned. And when he did, there was something 6, 7 foot tall that went across the trailhead where we came in at. And he says it was real quick. He couldn't tell what it was. He says it might have been a bunch of leaves blowing across. The wind was blowing. It was like 35 degrees out, but with the wind, it was like 25 degrees. So the wind was blowing pretty good.
Mm.
Um, he said it could have been a bunch of leaves. No, I don't think so because I didn't see no leaves blowing when the whole time we was there, yeah, even though the wind was blowing. Um, but we get back up to the end of the trailhead. I'm feeling a little better, but we start checking, looking for prints or any other disturbance. We did find a print. I could not tell if it was a newer one or an older one, but there was a print off to the one side, the way it was heading. So we both come to the conclusion there's one trailing us, one or two ahead of us, and putting us into a pinch point area. Um, so I don't know. I don't know if it was going to trap us or what, but I did not like the idea of going any farther because of my gut instinct, my intuition, whatever. But
Okay.
something, he did see something. So, um, to me, you go with your gut.
Right.
I yeah, from day one, I've done it since I was a kid. I went with my gut. If it did not feel right, get out of there. If it's a little shaky, well, I'll still go just to see what's causing it.
Right. Right.
If it feels good, oh, I'm doing it. Yeah,
See, this is how I die, guys. I'm going to
yeah,
die doing something like this because if my gut says, oh man, there's something spooky going on, I'm like, okay, then I'm going in. I'm going to find it. So,
Um,
yeah, I'm a little bit of an
well,
idiot.
I will tell you, and I know we only have a few minutes left. I will tell you that what was communicated with me when I connected with whatever that what we consider Bigfoot energy is, they are basically sensors, right? So kind of like how we have, our five senses. They are here to also see what the sensors are, like what's happening with the environment. They what do they see, what do they smell, what do they hear, and then
right.
they are taken up or interdimensionally or whatever, but they are basically put into these because a lot of Bigfoot sightings are also they also correspond with UFO
UFO
sightings or
sighting.
life, right? So what I was shown by Yohame is they are taken up, or they are taken into this craft. Sorry, they're taken into this craft, and then they kind of have this sensor on them, like a, what they call it, an encephalograph. It's kind of on the, they graph the brain waves, and it's downloaded. They're basically like thumb drives. It's kind of, that's the only way I can kind of describe it. They're living beings, but they're uploaded, and then they kind of report. That's how they get the report of, what the air quality is like, what the water quality is like, and so on. And so they're uploaded to these watchers of what happened. So that was an interesting thing.
Okay.
So,
Dan Hagman posted.
Dan's an awesome guy.
Yes, he is. We are all God's creatures, alien, Bigfoot, whatever it may be. When we pass, we all go to the same field of being. We're all energy, and you cannot destroy energy. You pass into a higher form of being. All right.
It sounds right.
Sounds about right. But you can destroy energy.
No, it can't be destroyed. It can only be changed.
Displaced.
Right. Because steam, if you get water, you can boil it. You don't, and it goes to steam, and so on.
Right.
So energy can't be
You
destroyed.
use an electrical, say electricity. You put a grounding rod into the ground.
Okay.
It shoots it over, hits the ground rod, kills
Where
it.
does it go?
It kills it.
No, it goes into the ground.
Yeah.
And kills it. And grounds it out.
Transfers through the ground.
So did you know that grass would not be green without lightning? So in that case,
wait a minute. Explain that one.
It has to do with nitrogen and how the
okay. Yeah.
So we just disproved you. You're full of shit, Bill Rigby.
No, not full of shit. Not full of shit. He just learned a new thing.
Okay. It was
energy is
right. It was not destroyed. Energy wasn't destroyed.
It was
altered.
It was
altered.
Okay, let's
Thank you, Rob.
We're coming up on 1 hour and 57 minutes, so we probably need to wrap this up.
We need to go.
58.
And energy can never be, according to Tesla and some of these other amazing people, energy is never.
But who's gonna believe Einstein? Come on.
I don't know. There's some things about that too, but energy
That's
can
another
never,
show.
if energy is never created nor destroyed, it just always is. It just transforms. Right.
You're right.
So
and I really got you guys going on that one. But anyhow, I had to throw that electrical one in there about the grounding rod.
Yeah.
Because
I was an electrician.
If you put a grounding rod out on a sandy beach, what are you going to get?
You're going to get it. Well, it depends. You're going to get glass.
You're going to
get glass. Yeah, exactly.
If it hits, yeah.
That's another form of energy being made. But anyhow, thank you guys. And thanks all the listeners and participants in the audience. We appreciate you. Hey, go to my YouTube channel. Hit subscribe.
Please subscribe. Please.
Very much so. We need the subscribers.
Yeah.
And Angel, thanks for a spur of the moment, witchy hair all coming on.
I know, right? You didn't even give me any heads up.
I know, it's spur of a moment. And of course,
and these shirts are super comfortable. If you haven't already bought an Agents of the Unexplained shirt, please buy one. There's also the Paranormal is the New Normal.
And this one.
They're super. Yeah, see? They're super comfortable. Please go to the Bill store and buy one. Please, please, please.
I don't have that one that Angel has, though.
Tammy made me this one.
Yeah, I know.
Special.
Yeah. Because you have the special bus. But anyhow, he told me because she knows you. But yeah.
You guys are awesome. Angel, is very nice to finally to meet with you and talk with you a little bit. Maybe we can connect a little bit offline, so we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Norm, thank you. Been great again, brother. And,
yeah.
My pleasure. Thanks, my pleasure and my honor. Really. Thank you.
We have to do this again sometime.
Sounds good. We'll talk offline. Let's do that. Let's talk offline.
Hey, and next Friday, I'm going to have Aurora Swanhild. She's a very interesting lady. She will be talking about the dog man.
The dog
a few
man.
other. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that sounds
Oh, I
exciting.
can't wait to see that one.
Ruff, ruff. No, seriously.
Quick story. My grandmother saw one. She used to work, or she was picking berries back when they used to do that. My grandmother's passed now. It's my grandmother on my dad's side, not the same one I talked about earlier, but my grandmother saw, she was picking berries, wild berries, and she looked over. She was a child. This was probably in 1910 that she saw this, and she looked over and she saw what looked like what she described to me as a black man and a dog kind of mixed. She said it had a ring, and it looked like a dog, more of a dog than a man, but it had a long snout. And she saw this thing when she was picking berries. So this isn't a new thing. Whatever we're talking about with Dogman, it's not a new thing. So I apologize for interrupting, but I just want to let you know that 1910 they were still here in Pennsylvania. So there you
we've
go.
had sightings up here in Mercer County.
Yeah.
The dog boy and dog man.
Wow. That's amazing to me.
Yeah. You can call them dog man, you call them werewolves. People call them different things.
I don't
No
want
matter what, I really don't want to be up close and personal with one.
Yeah.
I was up close personal with my Bigfoot sighting, 15 feet. I don't want to be that close to a dog man.
No, me neither.
Hey, no, thanks anyhow. No, thank you. But yes, she'll be on next Friday at 7:00. Our YouTube channel, our agents Facebook page. Check us out on there, and I'm even going to run it on my normal page. And I'm going to have us guys got to get together again on here and really get things, start blowing people's mind with some of these conversations we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we do get sidetracked.
Yeah. And I'm really good eye candy. So you're welcome.
Sometimes I am.
Have another drink.
5,000 people on that one, 2,000 people on that one, 150 people there. You're welcome. I'm glad I could be of service to you.
Hey, have another drink. He's letting the alcohol talk again.
It sounds good. I will do that. It's Friday night. Friday night. I was working on building people's stores and everything else. Please buy an Agents of the Unexplained shirt. They're so comfortable. They really are. This is a comfortable shirt. Whatever you got, these Bill, they're amazing. So
yeah, I got good companies that make my shirts. I will admit. My Paranormal is the new normal shirts. Creative Minds. Go to their page. She has a lot of great items. Tammy's a great lady. She made Angel's shirt for her. She makes my Paranormal's the new normal shirts for sure. She's going to be doing our event shirts, which will be coming out. She's going to start taking orders in January. Pre-sale orders on them. And I might be doing a special deal on my sales page, my online sale page for tickets to that.
Are you going to have pre-sale tickets to your conference? I'm looking forward to that conference.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm going to do pre-sale tickets. I'm just getting it all set up.
How about ebooks, Bill? You can do ebooks?
Yeah. All right, Norm. We're past 2 hours, buddy. Yes, we're doing ebooks, but I got to get them done. Have another drink.
Well, thank you.
All right, I'm going because I gotta pee.
Oh, here she did that in the middle of our damn talk. Hey, Angel.
What?
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Are we? Is this it? Is this the end? Okay. Bye, Angel.
Yeah, she's gone.
Right, it's been a really nice time. We're over 2 hours, so this is pretty nice. So,
but anyhow, thank you, everybody. Susan, yes, I'll continue posting my link there to you. Thank you very much. Dan says, "Hey, Norm, have a drink for him." Thank you, Helen.
Story.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you, Megan. Thanks, everybody. We all enjoyed it. You all have a great night, and we will talk to you all later.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.